Hello everyone, I'm Anime Freak and welcome to the video. This is part 3 of Why I Hate geass, Lelouch and the Fanbase. So if you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, stop this video, go and watch those videos first, and then as soon as you watch those, come back and watch this video. I'll leave a link in the description box below to those videos. So with that said, let's continue. The next thing I want to talk about is that Lelouch never took responsibility for his actions. Now I know there's going to be a lot of butter people out there who's going to say, what the hell are you talking about, Anime Freak? Lelouch did take responsibility. Lelouch felt bad for what happened to many people that got caught in the war, like Shirley and Yuffie and many of his knights, and Lelouch took all the blame. No guys, I'm not talking about that sort of responsibility. I'm talking about responsibility as in punishment. And I know something you're going to say, wait a sec, what are you talking about, Anime Freak? Well, look at it this way. In the previous video, I said that if Lelouch had found out Nunnally was still alive when the bomb went off, he would have never have made the Zero Requiem. And do you guys remember when I told you guys about the two scenarios? That if the bomb did go off, but he found out Nunnally was still alive, and the Knights didn't betray Lelouch, and Lelouch won against Britannia, what would have happened after that? Lelouch, most likely, would have lived happily ever after with Nunnally. So, let's just say, for example, that this scenario did happen. Lelouch won against Britannia and knew Nunnally was still alive, and he won against Britannia without going through the whole Zero Requiem thing. What do you guys think Lelouch would do to redeem or punish himself for all the lives that was lost and ruined because of him? Well, after what I saw in geass, it's most likely that Lelouch would most likely, again, live happily ever after with Nunnally. That's how self-centered and selfish of a character Lelouch is. Now, I know some of you Lelouch fanboys out there are going to say, oh, Anime Freak, that's not true. We don't know what would have happened if he knew that Nunnally was still alive. And you know what? Yes, I agree. We do not know what would have happened if Lelouch knew that Nunnally was still alive. However, I do have some evidence that points to what I'm saying is true. Now, as many of you know, when the Knights betrayed Lelouch, Rollo saved Lelouch, and when they escaped, Lelouch said, stop Rollo, Nunnally is gone, I have nothing else to live for anymore. And do you remember when Lelouch was there at Rollo's side as Rollo died? Lelouch called himself a liar. And that's true. Lelouch has been lying throughout the entire series. Lelouch has lied to everyone, his best friend, his knights. Lelouch has always been a liar. Now, I know something you're going to say, okay, Anime Freak, what does this have to do with Lelouch being a liar? Okay, here it is. Do you guys remember when Lelouch took over Britannia and Lelouch was having that conversation with Suzaku about, I'll spill so much blood that everyone will forget about Yuffie? Again, stupid plan. And then Lelouch said that he wasn't going to put Nunnally first anymore. Well, that was the part where Lelouch was lying. Because at this point, Lelouch had nothing else to live for, and he thought that Nunnally was dead. So of course he's going to say, oh, I won't put Nunnally first anymore. It was because he thought she was dead. And then when Lelouch found out that Nunnally was still alive, he was in the middle of a battle, and when the monitor went off, Lelouch was in a right state. Suzaku was yelling at him, and CC was trying to comfort him. And when Lelouch came to his senses, and he said, oh, I won't put Nunnally first anymore, I knew for a fact that Lelouch was lying. Lelouch wanted to be with Nunnally, but couldn't. Lelouch was lying to Suzaku at the lake. Lelouch always put Nunnally first, and the only reason that he didn't put her first this time was because she was dead to him. But let me tell you guys something. If Lelouch knew Nunnally was still alive and said to Suzaku at the lake that he wouldn't put Nunnally first anymore, then I would believe it. But Lelouch, again, thought she was dead. So yes, Lelouch is a liar. Either that or it's crappy writing. But the one thing that was an absolute riot was that Lelouch dug his own grave. He couldn't turn back anymore. So really, Lelouch punished himself at the end. Even though it was a voluntary suicide, because again he thought Nunnally was dead, he would have never, ever would have had that voluntary suicide if he knew Nunnally was still alive. But I'm going to ask you guys this. Do you think if Lelouch found out Nunnally was still alive after the bomb went off, do you honestly think that Lelouch would kill himself as a form of redemption? Just think about it for a while. So, on to the next. Okay guys, sorry about that. That was my attempt to say that Lelouch was a liar, which he is, but I think I might have messed it up a little bit there. So yeah, I just wanted to say that Lelouch is a 100% liar. That's all I was trying to say. Now the next thing I want to talk about is Lelouch's reaction about Ogi getting shot in Season 1. Now, when Ogi was shot by Veretta and Zero was told about it, he said that he would just replace Ogi. I know I've already talked about this before, but I just want to talk about it a little bit more, considering that the fanbase always says that Lelouch always cared about people. Okay, now, here's the thing. Lelouch has sacrificed many of the knights just to get what he wanted. And I know for a fact that the knights knew that if they was to fight in this war, they were going to die. But here's the thing. The knights thought that they were fighting to liberate their country. But here's the thing. Lelouch was using them to get what he wanted. He didn't care what they wanted, considering what he said to Rollo as he escaped from the knights in Season 2, Episode 19. I know I'm going off track, but just hear me out. Lelouch was always a poser. He would always look flashy and confident in front of people or in front of the camera. And do you guys remember when Zero went to go and save the knights in Season 2? I know I said this before, but I'll say it again. The only reason he saved them was because if he didn't save them and let them die, it would have made Zero's image look bad. Lelouch didn't save them because he wanted to or he was concerned about their safety. It was because he needed them, and it would have made Zero's image look bad if he didn't save them. But when the cameras was off, Lelouch was always concerned about other things, like trying to find Nunnally. For example, I know I said this before, but hear me out, I'm getting to it. When Lelouch told the knights to go and find Nunnally, they should have stayed on the battlefield and fight instead of going after this one little girl. That was in Season 2, and again, in Season 1, at the end of the season, he left the battlefield instead of staying where he could have controlled the situation and prevented it from being lost to Britannia. But instead, he goes after Nunnally. And in Season 2, Episode 19, when Lelouch was found out, he was planning on using his geass on his knights because they found out who he was. And of course, Ogi. When he was shot, Lelouch said that he would just replace him. I know I'm repeating myself, but I just want you guys to hear me out. I'm getting to it. Ogi was a core member of the knights, and people looked up to Ogi as one of their leaders. But instead of saying, oh, I hope he's okay, Lelouch said that he would just replace him. Yeah, I know I'm repeating myself, but just hear me out. I know for a fact that people were going to die in this series, okay? I understand that. What you guys need to understand is Lelouch didn't care about any of his knights. And Ogi was right on the money. To him, the knights are nothing but pawns for him to use and throw away. And I know for a fact that loads of Lelouch fanboys out there hates Ogi because he went against Zero. And some people are going to say, well, it was stupid of Ogi to betray Zero because it's thanks to Zero that they got that far, and it was stupid of them to trust what Snizel said. Okay, but here's the thing. When Ogi came into the picture in Season 2, Episode 19, and told everyone what Snizel said was true, and they connected all the dots, and you know what? I don't actually blame Ogi for hating Zero, because at the end of the day, Lelouch was using and sacrificing them in order to get what he wanted. And I'm going to ask you guys something. Are you telling me that what Lelouch did to Yuffie and what he did to the Knights and what he did to so many people was okay with you guys? Because to be honest, I see it from the Knights' point of view, and I see it from Ogi's point of view, and I see it from Suzaku's point of view. And to be honest, they have every single right to hate Lelouch for what he has done to them. And I think the only reason that so many people hate Ogi, Suzaku, and the Knights is because they went against their favourite character, which is obviously Lelouch. Now, some of you are probably going to say, oh, but what about Snizel's plan? What about Charles's plan? Okay, here's the thing. Charles's plan and Snizel's plans are more believable than Lelouch's plan, even though Charles's plan was a ripoff of Evangelion, but I'll get to the ripoffs later. Okay, Charles's plan is basically getting all the souls from the living and the dead and bringing them all together so that way everyone won't tell lies and everyone will know what everyone else is thinking. I have to admit, this sounds very, very dumb, and again, considering it's unrealistic, but it does sound more... I'm trying to think of a word, but I just can't think about it. It's kind of like... Okay, it's not realistic, but it seems more believable than Lelouch's plan. Yes, I did say that Charles's plan is unrealistic, but at the same time, it's believable. His plan was to bring about peace by making everybody, both dead and alive, come together, and everybody will be in harmony. Again, it is completely ridiculous. Charles's plan is completely ridiculous, which again, it's unrealistic. But at the same time, it's more believable than Lelouch's zero plan. Now, Snizel's plan is both believable and realistic. Snizel's plan is to make his floating castle go into the atmosphere and fire on all the major cities around the world. And then that way, everybody will fear Snizel's floating castle. Yeah, I know it has a name, but I've completely forgot what it was called, so yeah. So that way, he will be the only one that is feared and hated across the entire world forever. Now, some people are going to say, oh, but it's similar to Lelouch's plan. But here's the thing. Snizel is right about one thing, and that is this. Human beings are terrible creatures. We kill each other, we hurt each other, we go to war with each other. Genocide, starvation, segregation, hatred. If Snizel had some sort of supercomputer take over after he died, and he programmed that computer to fire down missiles on Earth every so often to make him seem like the only person that they should hate instead of each other. And to be honest, this is a very, very good idea, because here's the thing, Lelouch's plan would only work temporarily, but as for Snizel's plan, this would work for a very, 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 very long time. The only thing that they would fear and hate is that floating castle, and not each other. People will actually come together instead of actually fighting each other, and this is where Lelouch's plans fall flat. Lelouch said that he will spill so much blood that everyone will forget about Yuffie, and he'll make himself the most hated person in the world, so that way everybody will come together for mutual hatred for Lelouch. Again, if he knew that Nunnally was still alive before he thought she was dead, he would have never made the Zero Requiem. Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm just trying to get that out there. My problem with Lelouch's plan, his plan is short term. It's not going to last very long. It's the same as Snizel's, but again, in short term. But even after Lelouch dies, people are still going to hold a grudge towards Britannia and remember Yuffie. But even if you was to take those out of the picture, people are still going to hate and start wars with each other. Now, I just want to bring up Light Yagami here for a sec. Now, in the beginning of the series, when Light found the notebook, he said that he'll kill all the criminals in the world and he'll continue to do it until nobody will ever do any evil ever again. And this is where both Lelouch's plan and Light Yagami's plan fails. Now, if you guys don't know what happens at the end of Death Note in the manga, I suggest you stop watching this video and go and watch the series, because I'm about to spoil the series for you. So, 3, 2, 1, and go. Now, the difference between Lelouch and Light Yagami. With Light Yagami, you know for a fact that his plan is never ever going to work, because at the end of the manga, everything went back to normal. So this indicates even if Light was to survive and continue killing people, there would be fewer people doing bad things. But after when he died, everything went back to normal before Light got the notebook. And to be honest, this feels believable, because again, people will continue to do wrong and start wars and start hating each other. But with Code Geass, it feels over-romanced. The series feels like it's trying to say, oh, everything worked, oh, Lelouch brought world peace, oh, everyone doesn't hate anybody now, everyone forgot about Yuffie. And that's one of the things that really, really bothers me. The series tries to make you think that everything all worked out in the end. I mean, here's the thing, I know for a fact that Light Yagami's plan of ridding the world of evil would only be a temporary thing. Look at it this way. Look at World War I and World War II. Some people told me that World War I and World War II was supposed to be the wars to end all wars. But look at us today. We're still blaming and hating each other. There's still wars going on. There's terrorist attacks. And there's people, especially today, who is bringing up the past of saying that, oh, your people did this, or oh, your people did that, or oh, I remember this. Code Geass is full of itself, and it tries to make Lelouch this tragic great hero that does no wrong, and that his plans are completely 100% flawless. The ending to Code Geass is like going into Naruto territory. It's like Gaara's speech to calm all the ninjas down, or when Naruto convinced Pain, or that everyone forgave Sasuke for betraying the village. Code Geass as that, oh, because it just works feel to it. But I will give Light Yagami some leeway, and the reason for that is because he was delusional. Because after tinkering with the book and killing so many people and declaring himself God of the New World, you knew for a fact that he was full of himself and he was delusional. But here's the thing, Light Yagami wasn't always like this. It was stated in the How to Read Death Note, Volume 13, it is stated that if Light didn't find the notebook, then he would have become the chief of police and working alongside L. This is what the author of Death Note said. Death Note's ending had a more realistic feel to it, while Code Geass had an unrealistic feel to it. Let me ask you guys something. Now, when you was younger and you was like looking at a statue or a house or whatever, did you guys once in your life ever thought, oh, this one thing is going to be here forever even after I die? Because when I was younger, I used to think the exact same way. Like, a statue would be here forever, or a house would be here forever, or a country would be here forever. But as I grew up, I knew for a fact that nothing ever stays the same. Absolutely nothing. So yes, Light Yagami was delusional, but it was a more understandable delusional. But with Code Geass, I knew that the series was being way too over-romanced, which is why I didn't believe Lelouch's plan would really work. I mean, just look at the million zeros. That was just completely ridiculous. And also, what the hell was that all about when Kallen was showering under a freaking waterfall? Seriously, what the hell is she doing? She's in an unknown place where there could be enemies lurking about, and she decides to take a freaking shower. Ugh, jeez, this bitch is dumb. And the fan service was completely unneeded. 100% completely unneeded. A series does not need fan service in order to be good. It needs to be good in order to be good. It needs a good story. And sadly, Code Geass didn't give us that. Kallen was dumb for having a shower, and the fan service was unneeded. Completely. Stupid bitch. I'd also like to point something else out. Suzaku was always the better fighter and the better pilot. He was a better pilot than what Kallen could ever be. And the only reason Suzaku was struggling in episode 19 or 18, I can't remember, in season 2 was because Kallen's mech had upgrades and Suzaku wasn't even trying. Hell, he even said that he wanted to die, but thanks to his geass, well, his command, he fired the nuke. Which, by the way, was Lelouch's fault, not Suzaku's, but Lelouch. Lelouch was the one who put the command on Suzaku, and the stupid prick was warned by Suzaku that he had a bomb, but Lelouch refused to listen. And here's another thing I want to bring up. Why is it that when Lelouch does an accident like commanding Yuffie to kill the 11s, everyone says, oh, but it was an accident, he didn't mean to do it, he's forgiven. But when Suzaku does the exact same thing, the fan base goes absolutely nuts and says, oh yeah, it was all Suzaku's fault, it's all his fault. The fan base is very biased when it comes to stuff like this. Anyways, I want to get back to Suzaku versus Kallen. Now, in their last fight, Suzaku threw the fight to make everybody believe that he was dead. Now, some people are going to say, oh no, Kallen was the one who won that fight and Suzaku lost. Okay, guys, just think about it for a sec. What did Lelouch's plan entail? I mean, you only have to watch the end of the series and you can see that the new Zero is Suzaku. Suzaku had to make it seem that he was dead by losing to Kallen. Suzaku would be no use to Lelouch if he was dead. So really, if you think about it, Suzaku threw that fight. And the next thing I want to talk about is the character Dalton. Now, some of you are probably thinking, hold on, anime freak, who the hell's Dalton? Okay, do you guys remember the guy who got shot by Yuffie and then Lelouch used his geass to control him? And he ordered him to shoot down Cornelia near the end of season 1, and then Lelouch killed him? Yeah, I'm talking about that guy. I just want to point out that this guy, Dalton, was not a racist. In fact, he was probably the least racist Britannian in the series. He took priority on protecting Yuffie And when she was acting strange, talking about killing the Japanese, he stepped in and tried to stop her, but Yuffie shot him thanks to Lelouch's sick joke of controlling her. And the reason why I'm saying that he was the least racist is because it was true. When Suzaku was knighted by Yuffie, he was the first to actually clap when Suzaku got his inauguration. I think that's what it's called. Now, while everybody in the audience was hesitant to start clapping, Dalton was the first one to actually start clapping and smile and accept Suzaku into the group. And just by looking at this guy, I could tell that he wasn't a racist, that he was a good guy, and he wanted to do the right thing. And I really felt sorry for him. Even though he was a good guy, a lot has happened to him within a short time frame. Number one was when Yuffie demanded the soldiers to start killing 11s. Dalton steps in to try and stop her, and then Yuffie shoots him, and unknowing to him, it was all Lelouch's fault that she was being controlled. Then Yuffie shoots him, Dalton I mean, and then Lelouch comes up to him and uses his geass on him. And then later on, when Lelouch was fighting Cornelia, Dalton shoots down Cornelia. And then when Dalton outlived his usefulness, Lelouch shoots and kills him. I swear to God, Lelouch was a complete and utter bastard to this guy. And I felt really sorry for him. But even though I say this, the fan base still treats Lelouch like he does no wrong. I don't care what excuses you guys say, Lelouch was a bastard to Dalton. And not just to him, but to loads of innocent people. Like Shirley, for example. This was a girl who was in love with Lelouch, and he ruins her life. First, he indirectly is responsible for her father's death, and thanks to his relationship with CC, he puts her in danger. The character I'm talking about is Mao. He kidnaps Shirley. Mao has the ability to listen to people's thoughts, and he tells Shirley that Lelouch is Zero, and he was responsible for the death of her father. And she is absolutely devastated to hear this. Shirley was in love with Lelouch, and she didn't know how to feel. She was split by the fact that the love of her life was the one who killed her father. And she was deeply upset about this. And then, when Lelouch confronted her, he made her forget who he was, and he also made her forget about this old situation that she was in. And to be honest, this really pisses me off, because he never took any responsibility for what he did to her and to everybody else. I mean, whenever he ruined somebody's life, he would always go, oh yeah, I did this, but yeah, I'm gonna move on. And he did this throughout the entire series, and all thanks to him, millions have died. I know I keep on saying this over and over again, but if you guys really think about it, he never took responsibility for all the horrible things that he has done. Just think about it. When did he ever explain himself to Suzaku? When did he ever explain himself to the Knights? When did he say, oh, I am sorry, I am sorry? And before any of you Lelouch fanboys out there say, oh, but he was doing this for the world, he wants to do the right thing. No, he was not doing it for the right thing. He was doing it for his own selfish reasons. And again, it was for Nonali getting back at his father and finding out what happened to his mother. Lelouch was always about self. All about him and nobody else. And he was ready and willing to use people as pawns. And here's something I want to ask you guys. Let's just say, for example, Lelouch didn't have the geass, right? And he somehow, at this point, where he rescues Shirley from Mao, what do you guys think Lelouch would have done to Shirley? Because if I had to guess, I'm going to guess that he would have killed her. Because if he didn't have the geass, I'm pretty sure that he would have killed her. The geass was the easy way out for him every single time. I mean, if he was ready and willing to kill his own best friend Suzaku, then it isn't impossible for him to kill Shirley. I know I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Do you guys remember when I said that if Lelouch got Nunnally and the Knights didn't betray him, what do you think he would have done? He would have beaten Britannia and he would have lived with Nunnally for the rest of his life. He would have taken no responsibility and just lived happily ever after with his sister, while many people have died and lost loved ones all because of him. Because just saying, oh, I feel bad about it, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it, isn't good enough. Just saying, oh, I'm responsible for this, I know I've done wrong, I know I've killed people, I know I've let people down, I know I've betrayed people, and I've lied to people. Guys, admitting to himself that he was responsible isn't taking responsibility. Just saying, oh, I'm responsible for this, and just carrying on as usual and living happily ever after with your sister isn't taking responsibility for your actions. If Lelouch was planning from the beginning of the series that he was going to kill himself after the war ended to atone for his sins, then I would have given him some credit. But no, the only reason that he wanted to kill himself was because he had nothing else to live for. Wanting to die because he thought he lost Nunnally isn't a punishment. This was just a way for him to say, you know what, I'm done with life. I've got nothing else to live for, so I'm just going to kill myself. And the next thing I want to bring up is this. When Lelouch shot Yuffie, he said that she was his first love. And I'm like, dude, seriously, that is your sister, and you're saying that she was your first love. Okay, I knew Lelouch was effed up in the head, but Jesus Christ, he is freaking messed up in the head. Not only did I hate Lelouch for all the horrible things he did, but I was also disgusted. Now, some people are probably going to say, oh, but Anime Freak, that's not true. Lelouch said, oh, he loved her as a sister. Guys, if you go back and watch the episode, he specifically says, Yuffie, you were my first love. Now, you cannot say that Lelouch was in his right mind when he said that. In fact, when was Lelouch in his right mind? When he said that, I just felt really, really sick to my stomach. And here's another thing. You know how Lelouch, throughout the series, was saying, oh, I want to get revenge on my father. Oh, I want to make the world better for Nunnally. And, oh, I want to find out what happened to my mother. Because Lelouch was always obsessed with those things, especially Nunnally and his mother. He wanted to know what happened to his mother. Hell, his biggest outburst when he was talking to Jeremiah, and Jeremiah asked, why are you against Britannia? And Lelouch says, I want to find out what happened to my mother. I want to know what happened to her. I want to avenge her death. And here's the thing, guys. After seeing his mother get killed and seeing Nunnally get crippled, this traumatized Lelouch. And from that time to when Lelouch got his geass power, Lelouch was always obsessed about these things. Getting back at his father, make the world better for Nunnally, and finding out what happened to his mother. I mean, I swear, Lelouch was a complete and utter mama's boy. The way he was always talking about her, saying that he wanted to avenge her. I mean, he was obsessed with his mother. Lelouch was 100% obsessed and determined to find out what happened to her. And then, after when he finds out what really happened to her, right, he does a complete 180 and harasses not only his father, but his mother as well. And again, this was all due to time. They only had a few episodes to wrap everything up. I mean, it would have been a lot better if Lelouch couldn't accept the way his mother was, and he could have just left it for about, I don't know, like a few episodes for Lelouch to finally come to terms that his mother wasn't really a good person. I mean, again, all these years he obsessed about his mother, and then after when he found out that she really wasn't a good person, he just pulls a 180 on her and just turns against her. I wouldn't have minded so much if Lelouch slowly but surely come to terms of who his mother really is. Like, he was shocked for the person she really was, and over the course of a few episodes, he would have slowly but surely accepted that his mother really was a bad guy. It would have been a good thing if he was in denial about his mother being a bad guy. Again, considering that he was obsessing with her for all these years, and seeing her die on the steps. And this is the end of part 3. I have one more video, or maybe even 2, after this one. So please continue to watch, and please keep an open mind. Let's get a discussion going in the comment section below. I might hate this series, but that doesn't mean we can't have a civil discussion about the series. But if you're one of those Lelouch fanboys who says, oh, go kill yourself because I don't like Code Geass, then whatever. Please continue to watch, because again, I've only got one more video to do, and then we can finally have a civil discussion about Code Geass. Thank you for watching part 3, and now it's on to part 4. Thank you guys for watching, and if there's a series you want me to check out and review and give my thoughts on it, or if there's a top 10 list you want me to do, or any reactions or responses or rants on anything geeky, just leave links and comments in the comment sections below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. And if you guys want to follow me on my social medias, I'm on minds.com, Twitch, Dailymotion and Hatron, Reddit, BitChute, aka the new YouTube, DeviantArt, Discord, VidMe, Gab, Twitter, Tumblr, Patreon, GoFundMe, PayPal, and my other social medias are down there in the description box below, so if you want to go and check them out, please do. And don't forget to subscribe and share this video. And please go and check out my new skeptic channel, Gypsy Freak. It's also down there in the description box below. Peace out.